Hello guys, welcome to another video. In this video we gonna review Canon 1000D and we will try to find out whether this camera is still relevant in 2021, 2022 and near future, or does this camera really sucks and it's not usable at all. So let's find out guys. In this video I would be sharing all the specs about this camera and also all the sample photos that I have taken with this camera. So let's talk about the history of this camera. So this is how it looks, and this camera was launched in 2008 and it weighs around 500 grams. The ISO range is from 100 up till 1600 and it's a 10 megapixel sensor of Canon EFS mount. So basically you can mount any EF or EFS lens. Everything works, backward forward compatibility, all the EFS lens, everything works with this. This does feature a live view, which is so nice guys, because many of the other cameras in the same price bracket or which were launched around the same time, for example Nikon D3000 and Canon 450D and Canon 400D, they don't record any video, but they also don't have the live view. But this camera have the live view. I will show you how the live view looks like. So you can see my face, you can see it, right? So you have the live view, even though this doesn't shoot any video, but still it has the live view. So the advantage that the live view gives you is that if you are using older manual focus lens, or if you use adapted lenses like manual focus with some adapter, then in the live view you can zoom things out. I will show you again. So you have this zoom button, you can zoom things, and then you can use the focus ring to manually focus while you have the camera on a tripod, so that it's more stable guys. So this could be like really good, like if you are shooting photo of moon or stars, you have a long telephoto lens and this is mounted on a tripod, then you can try to focus manually just to get the most sharpest focus. And if you are shooting in studio as well, you can manually focus to get really sharp photo with this camera. So this is a really good feature that this camera have. Now talking about the image quality from this, I am gonna put the photos that I have taken with this camera on the screen, so you would be able to see all the sample photos with this camera. And I took these photos in the evening time when the sun was setting and it had become slightly dark. In fact, in some photos it's quite dark, in some photo I have some decent kind of lighting, but largely the lighting condition was not that great and I was getting a slower shutter speed, but I was having this image stabilization in this 1855 kit lens, so I was able to get really good decent photos which were very sharp. So you can judge the image quality yourself, how it looks like, if you like them or not. Personally, I really like the image quality from this camera. Even though it's just 10 megapixel, I was able to get like really nice sunset photos with the clouds and the shadows and the highlights. Everything was maintained, and I did that by pushing down the exposure compensation so that I can get the decent clouds and the colors of the setting sun. Okay guys, so talking about the good thing about this camera first. So the good thing is that I got this camera only for $50 US. That is so cheap. $50 US with the kit lens and a camera bag and the memory card. $50 US is like nothing. Sometimes you just go to a restaurant and you have a bill more than $50 US, and this is actually a DSLR. You can mount even any kind of lenses on this. If you put like a 50mm prime lens on this, you can get really good blurred photos which would look so professional that you can even use them in a magazine. So in $50 US you get a DSLR. What else do you want guys? And the second thing that I like about this camera is the build quality. It is pretty solid guys. Even though it's 13-year-old, it feels like pretty new and very sturdy guys, and it is very easy to use. So if you are beginner photographer, you don't know anything about photography, you can just pick this camera and you can explore all the menus and the settings and you would be good to go in 2 or 3 days guys. And it takes really decent photos. I would say I was very impressed with the photo quality of this camera, because I also have another old camera, Nikon D3000, which is pretty much similar in terms of ISO and those kind of things, but this camera features auto ISO, which that Nikon D3000 doesn't have. Also Canon 450D and 400D, they also don't have auto ISO, so that is very advantageous. For example, if you put it on auto ISO and then you put the mode to AV, the aperture priority mode, so you just have to just set the aperture and then focus and just take the picture. Camera gonna take care of shutter speed, ISO and rest of the things itself. See how it looks like from this side. It doesn't have anything to record video so the only port it has is to connect it to the laptop, just in case you want to transfer image or update the firmware and those kind of things. No headphone jack because it doesn't shoot any video, and this is where the SD card goes in, and here goes the battery, and from the back it looks like this, just like any other camera of Canon R. Exactly the same standard layout, and from the top as well, just like any other Canon camera do look, except for the fact that it doesn't have any video mode on this. And it's pretty good beginner camera, very easy to use. Anyone would get very familiar with photography if they are starting to learn photography. They have never touched any kind of DSLR, so this is a very good decent camera, and it won't put a hole in your pocket as well. Now, talking about the bad things about this camera, there is not that much bad that you can talk about if you get it for 50 bucks, but still the low ISO performance is not that great because it goes from 100 up to 1600. So there can be situation if you are shooting in very low light, even if you have maximum ISO set to 1600, you still will get very low shutter speed, and that can cause like camera shake, and you can get blurred photos, which is not that good. But if you have like decent lighting condition, if you are shooting in daytime when the sun is out, or even in the evening when the sun is setting, you still have like decent lighting condition, so that you can get a shutter speed around 50 or more, then you can get very sharp photos at a very low ISO, and you will get very less grains in your photo, right guys? And another part, that it doesn't shoot video, but many other camera don't shoot video, so this is strictly for those who want only photos, who don't have any interest in videography. If you are primarily just want a camera just for shooting photos, then you can consider this camera. The other part is that this has a very slow autofocus, because this is 13-year-old camera, and probably it has a very old version of like digital processor, which is not that great. But if you talk about photography, the autofocus is still pretty reliable. If you set the single autofocus point to anywhere, like if you are shooting a portrait, you can set it on the face or the eye of the person, and if you are like shooting landscape or something, you can set it on wherever you want the focus to be, and with decent lighting the focus works pretty well and quite accurate. There is not that much of a problem that I face. But in the slightly newer camera compared to this, like 1100D or 1200D, because they also can shoot video, and in video the autofocus sucks more because it relies on contrast detection. So the autofocus is not that much of an issue in this camera, because this only shoots photo. But in newer cameras where we also shoot video, autofocus is an issue if it is not like the latest one, like dual pixel autofocus, or like the Sony or the Nikon mirrorless autofocus system. And the last bad thing about this camera is 10 megapixel. Guys, 10 megapixel photos are still quite good. You can make very large prints out of it. But like if you have to do a lot of cropping, you have to, if you shoot a photo and you just take very small part of it, you do a lot of cropping, then it might be not enough. If you are doing some kind of a professional work, then I think 10 megapixel for you might not be enough. And this camera, since it has low ISO and those kind of things, not that many features, so this might not be like the ideal most professional camera for you for paid work. But these were all the limitations that I shared for this camera. Now the bottom line, the conclusion, whether you should buy this camera in 2021 or even the next year 2022. Well, if you get this camera in 50 or 60 US dollar with the kit lens, and you're primarily going to do photography only, you are a beginner, like you have never touched a DSLR, you just want to learn the basics of the photography, because this has all the modes that you have in the latest camera as well. And with this camera you can master all the basics of the photography, and you can become a more confident photographer. You can learn about composition, how like different focal length and different lenses affect photography, and you can really shoot decent images with this one. So if you just want to learn photography, if it is your hobby and you are very enthusiastic about it, you can get this cheaply and get started into photography. And later on, when you have mastered the things, you can buy a more expensive latest camera, maybe a mirrorless camera or the latest DSLR that would be around 1000 US dollar or something. So but if you have to do like paid work, you are doing like event photography for birthdays or like weddings and those kind of paid work where you get paid, then you should not go for this camera. Okay guys, this was all. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna bring more such useful videos for you and a lot of other reviews as well. If you have like any questions about this camera or any other camera, you can put it in the comments below, or you can reach out to my Instagram profile as well, and then directly follow me there and post me a question there. I will reach out to you. I always read all the comments and reply to each and every member individually. And please help me grow my channel, because I'm very enthusiastic about photography and I need the support of you guys. So please subscribe, press the bell icon. If you have friends as well, please share the video so that they can also subscribe. I will see you in the next video guys. Stay tuned.